All right, I think I have it fixed. Very excited. So let's see. Hopefully, you guys hop on and you can tell me if I have it fixed. Okay? So hop on. I know it's been one of those nights. So as you guys hop on, let me know if you can hear me. Okay? And I'm not echoing. So I apologize for that. So hopefully everybody hops on again. I am so sorry, but you know how tech stuff is, and I'm definitely not amazingly tech savvy. Hey, y'all like my new chair? Here, let me stand up. Look at this. How cool is this new chair? I love it. It's a gaming chair, and it's so freaking comfortable. All right, sounds better at this moment. Yeah, I put cancellation or whatever the hell it's called, sound cancellation, and I'm loving this new chair. Check this out. Right? Look, I can turn, and it has these like really cool like hand things. You'd think I was like driving because it's one of those, gaming chairs, but I have a really bad back, so it has one of those back kind of things, and it even massages you. It's awesome. So I'm going to be talking to y'all, and I could have this like massage be going on my back. So if you see me moving around, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Okay, sorry. I had to make light of this because, it's been one of those nights. All right. But I promise it's really good content. Okay. So here we go. Welcome again. So my name is Raven Woods, and I'm the CEO and founder of Autism Mama Rocks, the IEP, and I help parents gain the knowledge and the confidence to become the CEO of their IEP meeting. So with that said, okay, make sure you share this. You need it for how much you're in. So with that said, I want you guys to share this. This is good information. I'm giving you a legal update on California laws and statutes that's actually going to go in place for most states. It's just California started with it because California has a lot of things that many places don't have, like the wildfires and things like that. So it made sense for that to be the state that things started with, especially being one of the harshest states in regards to special education, in my opinion. It's a very difficult state. So with that said, I want you to share this. I want you to click notifications so you know when I go live, okay? Because like I said before, I have a child with autism, and so sometimes I can say I'm going to go live at 7 and it just doesn't work out, but I always go live. I always show up. So I want you to do that for me, all right? So click notifications. And if you haven't joined the group, hey, Sky, thank you. She's bringing me water. So if you haven't joined the group, make sure you do that. All you have to do is put Autism Mama Rocks IEP group in the search section, and it will come right up. So I want you guys to make sure that you do that, all right? So let's get started. The legal update for California, I think, is pretty amazing. I'm really glad that they are doing this, but the problem is, thank you so much, Carrie. The problem is they're not telling you about it at all. Zero. And that's what sucks. Here's the other thing that they're doing is they are claiming a law within their state that is inaccurate because they themselves, and this was a school district that did it to me, they read the law wrong. And this happens to the best of us. I've had to really learn how to, I speak out loud, I say it in my head many times, because how it's written is not always how we are going to interpret it. So I have to make sure that I understand 500% that this is what it means, okay? So one thing that they're doing, there's a law in place, all right, that says that they get an extension due to COVID with different things, all right, with evaluations, with starting anything, really, all right? And that only goes in place for English-speaking children, for children that are not English speaking. All right, it says English as a second language is actually what it says. But they'll put it out there like they get extra time to do your evaluations because of this law, thinking that you don't know, which many of us don't, that it's only for English speaking children. Okay, so children who have trouble with English. All right, so kind of like it used to be called when I was a kid, ESOL, ESOL. Now I think it's English as a second language, something like that. So I don't know what they really kind of hyperlink it. So don't be tricked by some of the things that they say. All right, that's just across the board in every state. All right, so English as a second language is the only reason California can, so English, yes. So English as a second language in California is the only reason that they can have extended time. All right, and it's only a small amount of time. I want to say it was like 14 days. I'll have to look up the law again, but I want to say it was only like 14 days extension. So just don't be misled by their interpretation of the law and what the law actually is. Never just go by what is said to you by the school district, because many times, just like goals and just like how IEPs are written, we would think they were the experts. I think that speaks for itself, right? So anyway, this law, SB 98, basically covers fire, flood, impassable roads, epidemic, earthquake, major safety hazards, strike and pupil transportation services provided by a non-school entity. Yes, it says that. And then it also says, and any other education condition or any other condition under Education Code 414222. 414222. All right. And the code for the law is SB 98. Okay. And the governor signed it for it to go into play. All right. So what this means, all right, in a nutshell, is anytime, and this is across the board, guys, anytime that your child is home and school is open but can't be open, all right, once 10 days pass, and this could be they were suspended, they can't come back to school more than 10 days. Once 10 days passes, 10 school days, okay, that third week basically, right, they have to provide your child FAPE. I don't care how they want to do it, but they have to provide it. Obviously, it's going to be virtually, or they have to send your child to a private school or have some other means come into play because they can't not provide FAPE. All right, so let's talk about FAPE for just a split second. All right, so, I always say to you guys, F, P, and E are typical. Free, public, and education. But the appropriate part is where things get sticky. All right? Because appropriate isn't perfection. Appropriate isn't what you want. Appropriate is what is appropriate for your child, your individual and unique child per idea, okay? What is required to provide your individual and unique child an education that they will make progress in lieu of their disability. That's how it's stated in IDEA, okay? That your child will make educational progress in lieu of their disability. So basically, it doesn't matter what their disability is, they still should make progress. Everybody can make progress, okay? So that's what has to be provided. Your child has to be given an education for them to learn and to make progress and not diminish progress, okay? If you want to look into the Andrew case, that's a big case where it was a judge, they went all the way up to the Supreme Court where the judge ordered with the parents basically stating that the child did not make progress in a sufficient way, okay? That it was so little that it was barely nothing, as if no education was given, all right? Goals were repetitive. There was barely any progress. I mean, we're talking, and that's what de minimis means. It's a French word for barely anything, okay? And so that's important, all right? It's called Andrew versus Douglas. So not Andrew, it's Endrew versus Douglas, Douglas. It's a case I talk about all the time. Jack Robinson is the attorney who has done lots of webinars. I'm hoping to get him on here pretty darn soon, where he won the case for this child, okay? And so much compensatory was given to this child, monetary value and educational, because of the lack of progress. Okay, progress. All right. So going back to California, SB 98, just remember, 10 days, FAPE has to be provided. So basically, in each of your IEPs, if you live in California, and this is going to be for every state, so everybody needs to hear this, all right? So this is for every state, coming soon, all right? But for right now, it's in California, and that's any type of disaster, a plan has to be in place, and that has to go into the IEP immediately. So what it states in the law is that at the next IEP for any person who lives in California is when this has to be written into the IEP, that virtual education will take place or a different type of education will take place. It also says the IEP must specify special education related services, supplementary aids and services, transition services, extended year services, so ESY, and then it says implementation of those services should be taken into account, and any other relevant public health order needs to be taken into consideration. So basically, it's saying that this is a new requirement, and as of the next regularly scheduled IEP revision or annual. So that's pretty crazy. It's a pretty big deal. So when all of our states do this, this is going to be huge. But I'm excited about it. So the legal update for California residents, it looks like this. Okay. And it's pretty awesome. I'll post it if you'd like, if that helps some of you. Yeah. So Section 66, amending Section 56345 of Educational Code. So I don't know if you guys in California have gone on to your the legislation and the statutes and all that kind of stuff, but I would look into that. All right. So make sure that at least my clients, I'm having them put in school/virtual so that something else is in play no matter what. Okay. So message me if you have any questions. All right. Make sure to share this. And you know what? I totally forgot. Post a 1 below. See, I got off kilter because I had all this tech issues today. So post a 1 below if you are new to catching me live. All right. Post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. So a 1 below if you're like first through third time, and then post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. Okay. So I'm sorry for being off kilter a little bit, but having tech issues is frustrating. All right. Like I want to take my computer and smash it sometimes because it's so frustrating. All right. So we're talking about triennial evaluations. All right. And what you may not know. Hi Tess. Hi Jennifer. Hi Christina. Kajabi. Michelle and Cynthia. All right. Hi, Viviana. How are you? Okay, so let's get started. What is a triennial evaluation? All right, so the triennial evaluation is done every 3 years. All right, so here's what you may not know. I'm gonna just give it to you from the get-go. All right, so if you have to go and have dinner, like I still haven't had dinner, I'm gonna just give it to you because today is tip of the week. I'm just giving you some good information. All right, so Monday is tip of the week, Thursday is content night, and usually I'll go live another day just to say hey and give you some good information. But I want you guys to know about this because it's really starting to tick me off and I'm seeing it a lot lately. So, your child, by law, has to have a triennial evaluation. All right, so this is how you know your triennial evaluation month. Okay, so when was your child diagnosed or just first given special education? So you went and you had your child diagnosed or whatever happened, and then you had your first meeting, and it's called an eligibility meeting, and you your child received their IEP. Okay, so whatever that date is, let's just say, okay, November 11th, 2011. All right, so that means November 2014, November 2017, and November 2020 are your triennial dates. Those months, November of 14, 17, 20. All right, that's if you first got your first IEP in November 2011. All right, and of course, if it's 2012, it would be 15, 18, 21. Okay, every 3 years. Now, this is what I want you to do. And if anybody is on here from the group who heard me before on the group today, you guys know what your homework was. So start posting it. All right, so I gave them a challenge, guys. This is what I said. And this was earlier today. I talked with my group. So see, you got to join the group so you can be all part of that. So it's Autism Mama Rocks IEP group. Put it in the search bar. So here's the deal. Go back and figure out whatever date it was that your child first got an IEP. More than likely, you know that. Okay, so November 2011, whatever it was. Okay, they are doing now, and he is January. Okay, so say your child was diagnosed or just given an IEP November 2011, okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to go and get your IEPs. Go get them, all right? Put me on hold. Go get your IEPs. This is what I want you to look at. I want you to get your IEP that's in play now, or the one, say you have a draft or something, all right? So get your IEP that's in play now. Get last year's IEP. And if you have the year before, you should keep your IEPs like you do your taxes, 3 to 5 years, all right? No less than 3 years. No less. Always, always, always. This is huge, guys. Always keep 3 years of IEPs. Always keep 3 years of progress reports, 3 years of evaluations, 3 years of everything, all right? Everything, all right? 3 years minimum, all right? 5 years maximum. Can't really do anything past that. All right? So 3 to 5 years, okay? 3 years minimum, 5 years maximum. Okay? So go back and look at your IEP now, presently, last year's and the year before. All right? Let's just go back 3 years. The current, last year's, and the year before. All right? So say it's 19, 18, 17. 2018, 19, and 17. All right? So this is what I want you to look at. Typically on page 1 is your dates, all right? There should be a date, all right, that says, you know, what the date is of the meeting, all right? And there should be a date of when your child first qualified, like we were just talking about, for special education, all right? There should be a triennial date of the evaluation. Now, what I want you to look at with that triennial date, all right, is I want you to go back to the year right now. I want you to look at the year before, and I want you to look at the year before. And then compare those years to when your child first got an IEP. All right? So if your child first got an IEP in 2011, you should have had your triennial in 2014, 2017, and then again in 2020. So if it was done in November, then it's November 2014, November 2017, November 2020. If it was in July, then it's July 2014, 17, 20. If it was May, then it's May 2014, 17, 20. You got me? Here's what I'm finding is if you go back to the day your child got their first IEP. So again, let's just go by November 11th, 2011. All right. What I'm finding is those dates to present change. And then somehow with the current may work. So let me explain that. From when your child first was given an IEP, November 11th, 2011, hypothetically, right? And then say today's IEP works with that, okay? So if you take 3 years to get to present, those numbers work from day one to now. But what I'm finding is everything in between isn't mixing. Or day one to now don't mix. The second one from when they first qualified works, and all the others do not. So look at your dates. Your triennial IEP or your triennial evaluation never changes. That date never changes. I don't care if you had an evaluation every month for the last 5 years. The triennial date does not change. So technically, in real world, okay, you can have an evaluation, you can request an evaluation every single year. I encourage that because our children change within a year. So here's the thing, is you have November 11th, 2011, when your child was first given an IEP, hypothetically, right? And the dates possibly change, all right, of those 3 years. You know that your child had an evaluation in 2016 because you requested one in 2016. But then 2017 comes around, November 2017 comes around, which is your triennial date, right? November 2011, November 2014, November 2017, November 2020, right? So November 2017 comes and goes, but that date in 2016 then takes the place of that triennial. Or what I'm finding is that date just stays wrong and there was never an evaluation done. And they're stating that they did an evaluation. This is what I'm finding. Listen to this, guys. This is huge. Share this, okay? They are doing what's called an observational evaluation and checking it off as the triennial. So you asked your date of giving the first IEP is November 11th, 2011. I know this can get confusing. All right. Presently, just say it's 2017. All right. That should be your third triennial. Okay. Because the first one you had an evaluation. In 14, you should have had an evaluation. Now it's 17, you should have an evaluation. But you had an evaluation in 16 because you requested one. So now 17 didn't happen. No one mentioned anything. But somehow in the IEP it says that they did an observational evaluation for the triennial that you don't have to approve of. You don't have to sign for that. You don't have to say, okay, you can evaluate my child. Like you do a triennial, like you do if you request an evaluation every year. You have to sign a consent form saying, yes, I approve for you to do a psychoeducational. Don't forget, we're going to go into more detail on those assessments because you don't want to just say psychoeducational because that could be shit. All right? That could be squat. That could be a Wyatt and up, you're done, triennial done, end of story. And it tells you nothing but your child's IQ, which tells you nothing. Okay? Your child could have a bigger IQ than their number is, but something happened that didn't work. All right? Or You don't want to get me started with evaluations in schools. Okay? So we'll talk about that at a later date. Okay? But what I want you to know is this is serious. They're bypassing it and they're half-assing it, really, and saying that they're doing a triennial when they're in fact not. And observations are part of evaluations, sure, but they cannot be the sole entity, property, the only thing given, because observation is what? Subjective data. It is not objective data. It is not factual data, because your opinion and my opinion are going to be different. I may think your child did an excellent job because he did for me, and the other person may say he did a horrible job because he didn't like her, or it wasn't his day, or he was having a bad day. Do you see how that observation can be different and skewed? You can't go by what observation says, all right? Now, the only person I will say that I will go by with observation, because it's done extensively, is a BCBA, all right? Their job is to gain information, all right? And their job is to watch and create and deal with behavior, all right? And that's not people think behavior, oh, bad behavior. No, behavior is what you do normally, just normal life. What we're doing is behavior, okay? I'm animated, right? So that's a behavior. All right, so that's what BCBAs do. Teachers are not necessarily experts at observation. They're good at typically teaching, but not necessarily observation. All right, and bottom line, observation is just that. It is solely an opinionated overlook of what's happening. And it means something, but it just doesn't mean everything. And it's definitely not an evaluation. All right? An evaluation goes through an extensive amount of information to test your child's knowledge in all different types of areas. And, what's even more important is it should be areas in which they struggle, so you can find out what's going on. All right? And you can find out if there's more issues going on that you don't know about. And this is really important, and it's something that I'm finding in going through IEPs all the time and talking with clients, is this isn't happening. And there's some sort of disconnect as to why educators are not coming to parents and saying, hey, something's not working here. Johnny's not progressing very much. I'm not really sure the LRE is the right place for him. I mean, shoot, if that's the truth, tell me. Or, I'm so sorry, but Johnny is really struggling in math. He is not understanding the concepts. He's with the other kids. He's in the least restrictive environment, and he's doing well with that. But he's really struggling in the math arena. It's not working for him. We need to think of something else, okay? This is a procedural violation that's happening across the table. It is the school system's job. Every staff member who works with your child, it is their job to come to you and say, we need to come back to the table and have an IEP meeting. Something is not working. He's not making progress. Instead of feeding parents the bullshit of, hey, they're making progress. We see progress. Parents are saying they don't see progress. The teachers are saying they see progress, or, the educators are, or somebody is, okay? I don't want to blame any one person. And, then parents are saying, no, he's not making progress. So it's this tug of war of who wins, and then the only person in the middle of that rope is your child. So are they making progress? Are they not making progress? If they're not making progress, then why hasn't that been brought to the table? Why aren't you talking to me about it? And I'm not seeing this. I have yet to work with a client that has told me that the school system actually physically came to them, that I have seen this, the child has not made progress at all. It's very obvious, and the school never came to them. They never said something is wrong, something is not working. Why? Someone please tell me why. If there's teachers on here, please tell me why you don't go to the parents and tell them that something is not working. If it's not working, something has to change. It doesn't make it anybody's fault. It doesn't make it your fault. It doesn't make it the parents' fault. It makes it a situation that you have to come together, actually as a team, and figure out the puzzle. Figure out what's going on so that you can fix it. Versus that we have the school system, we have the parents, and they're hating each other because nothing's working. You're on opposite sides of the tracks, which is what's happening today, unfortunately. And if there was that trust factor of, hey, this isn't working. I'm not really, and even if a teacher, you know what? Here's one thing that pisses me off that is not done in the school systems that I'm going to tell every educator and administrator, if you're watching, this is the key that us parents want. And parents, if you're on here, tell me if I'm wrong, okay? Call me out, all right? I am totally fine with being called out. Bring it, please, okay? Here's the thing, is if a school system's doing something wrong, none of us are perfect. None of us. None of us claim to be. Well, if you do, then, tell me what you're doing because I'm so not perfect. I would love to be on that bandwagon with you. But bottom line, if you're doing something wrong, meaning something's not working and you don't want to go to the parent because you don't want to seem like you're not teaching the child or educating the child or something along those lines, that's actually not what we're going to think. We're actually going to think, or at least I would, moms, dads, grandmas, all right? I would be thinking, okay, well, what do we need to do? Because my child has to make progress. So what has to happen for that to happen? I would appreciate someone coming to me and being transparent at the fact that whatever's happening, whatever's going on isn't working. But yet they're coming to me and saying, hey, this isn't working. Even if they said, I'm not really sure what to do. Because you know what? It's okay to not know. Not everybody knows everything. Nobody knows everything. So I would rather that honesty and us together get together and say, put our heads together and figure out what's going on, because a parent and an educator getting together, you're going to figure it out, okay? And even if you have to try different things, that's okay. At least you're aiming towards the same goal together versus the teacher saying, oh yeah, he's making progress. Parents know damn well that they're not. And then you're against each other. But that's what's happening. And then teachers want to say to me, or educators want to say to me, why are you so down on us? Why are you so that? Well, because, you may be doing your job, which you probably are. But the failure is the communication. The failure is you not letting the parent know. The failure is you losing the trust of the parents to where we have the animosity. We have the craziness. We have the fear that our children aren't going to progress. That is the problem. And had you had that transparency, that honesty, the ability and the strength to come to the parent and say, something isn't working. I'm not sure what it is, but I'd like to get with you so that we can figure out what to do. Right? Am I right? Is that what parents want? Where we can collaborate together and we know something's going on? But I'll tell you what tick us off. That we go to that yearly meeting. This is why, guys, hello. This is why you need to have quarterly IEP meetings. Every time a damn progress report comes out. If every single parent in the United States who has a child with special needs has an IEP every 4 months, dear God, what's going to happen to the educational system? But you know what? It'll keep them doing what they need to do. If you ask for those progress reports, you ask for data to back that crap up, and you have IEPs to discuss the progress reports and the data, you're going to get everything that you need to know if progress is being made. And guess what? It's going to have them step up and do what needs to happen. And unfortunately, we have to put that into play versus them just come to us for some reason. And that's what's sad, okay? So it's not that parents are against schools. It's almost as if it's the opposite. is schools don't want to be forthcoming and say what we're doing isn't working for your child. And guess what? It may hurt us as parents. I'll be very honest. When my daughter was first diagnosed, it was very hard to digest. But you know what? Even if hearing something from the school system would hurt my feelings or make me feel yucky inside, for me as a parent, I'll just speak for me, even if it makes me cry, because anytime I think about it, it makes me cry, you know, because I want so much for my child, you know. I think what's important is us hearing it, and even if it takes us a minute to digest it, we will be grateful to have known, and we'll be grateful to be able to process it, even if some of us need a minute, and then come back to the table and say, okay, what do we need to do? Because I'll tell you, most parents, even if it takes them a minute to digest it as parents, because, you know, this is a struggle, this is hard, you know, a lot of us, you know, have this fantasy of we're going to have kids and, you know, they're going to go to college and they're going to get married and they're going to have kids and, you know, this whole, you know, fairy tale thing. And it's not like that. And, you know, until people, and sometimes educators and administrators especially, you know, don't have, I will. Give me a second.
How many minutes do you love that?
I'll be done in 10 minutes. Yeah. Okay. Is that good? Yeah. All right. Go on. Go take a shower.
Clean my container, please.
Mm-hmm. All right, go. So, gosh, what was I saying? So it's really important for me as a parent to make sure that educators keep things where they need to be in line with progression. All right. And if that doesn't happen, that's where many of us parents are having issues with the school system. So guess what? It's not that we hate you. It's not that we want, you know, the administration buildings to catch on fire. It's not as if we want something bad to happen and we want to fight you. And I want to come to the table with parents and, you know, fight for everything that their child needs because you won't give it to them. Why? Because you won't come out and say something's not working and just come to the table and help the parent and you together fix it. You know? So if you do that, then there's not going to be this contention. There's not going to be this fight because then we're going to have educators and parents working together. Okay? And then there's not that animosity. There's not that distrust. You don't have parents sending cameras to school with their kids because they don't trust you. Okay? So the importance is gaining that trust, you being transparent, and then we work together so that we can have progress. Because at the end of the day, that rope being pulled on both ends, what does that do? There's no solution with that other than the parents are going to get more pissed off. They're going to make state complaints. They're going to take you to due process. They're going to go to mediation. And guess what? At the end of the day, more than likely, that child's going to get compensatory services. You know that just as well as I do. More than likely, that something's going to happen to where that child is going to benefit. That child is going to make progress. You're going to have to step up. So why cause all of that animosity and stress for the parent and for you if it doesn't have to happen? All right, I'm done. Okay, so with that said, your triennial, I want you guys to go and look. All right, you have your date that your child first got an IEP. Every 3 years from that date, that is your key date. So if it was 2011, like for example, my daughter, 5, 6, 7, my daughter was given an IEP in 2007. All right, so every 3 years from 2007, she had to have a triennial IEP. Even though I asked for a triennial IEP, a triennial evaluation, even though I asked for evaluations every year. You asking for an evaluation every year does not change that date. That date should never, ever, ever move. Okay? Period. And it cannot take the place of. So, I've had situations where a parent asked for an evaluation just a couple months before the triennial month. They had to do it because it's been a year, and then they had to do it again because it had been the 3-year. You can't change that date. That date does not change. All right? So, and that's in reference, just so you know, it's 300.304 in IDEA. Also 311, and it's 1414. All right? In IDEA. All right? Every 3 years. Okay? Now, here's your kicker. You have to sign a re-evaluation form, consent form. Anytime your child has to have an evaluation, you have to sign a consent form. All right? When your child is observed, there's no need for a consent form. So do not, this is what's happening, do not allow that to happen and somehow get into your IEP as if that was the triennial. It's happening. I'm telling you, I've seen it. I saw it 3 times last week in IEPs. All right? All right. And you guys know, go listen to the evaluation requests that you should be requesting. We'll touch on that again because this is an important topic, evaluations right now, because your child hasn't done anything for 6-7 months, right? It's time for an evaluation so you know their present levels, the school knows their present levels, and you're able to get an IEP in order that is adequate. Okay? All right. Are there any questions in regards to anything that I discussed today? But I think my little tangent is important because this page is public. It's not like my group where, you know, only the people I choose to be there, if you will. I don't choose. I just accept people. Can hear what I have to say. I want educators to hear what I have to say. And that is more administration side, guys. But teachers too. Teachers, I want you to know that parents want you to come to them. They want you to tell them if their child's not making progress. We don't expect you to be perfect. We don't expect you to be able to teach every single child. But we do expect you to come to us if something's not working. We expect you to come to us and say, hey, I'm not really sure what's up here. You know, I can't even answer why it's up here. But what I want to do is work with you to figure it out. And that's what's important. At the end of the day, that is what is important. IDEA, it's 311 together, not 3.11. Okay. .304. All right. I'm glad sound worked out this time. So, hey, Cynthia and Carrie and Julia and Kim. Make sure you guys share, okay? Share and post below, and you guys will be put into the hat. And tomorrow on the group, I'm going to be calling out names because I didn't do that this month. I totally forgot because I called it out on the page, and then I forgot to call it out on the group. Michelle and Tess and is it Kajabi? Kajab? Tell me how to say your name. My daughter is due for a triennial and IEP has been scheduled without triennial assessment. That's a big deal. That needs to be handled immediately. And why aren't they saying anything? Hey, Christina. Carrie says, I have our first triennial IEP Wednesday. What do you mean a triennial IEP? There isn't a triennial IEP. There's a triennial evaluation. They have not assessed him, and he had regression over the summer. He is e-learning, and it's crazy nightmare. I have asked for AAC eval, and they are not sure and won't tell me until tomorrow if they will eval. What? You need to PM me, Carrie. That's crazy. And if you ask for an AAC evaluation, then they need to do one if there's some way, shape, or form that he could possibly benefit. They can't say, oh, unless they can say 100% that he would not benefit, then they have to do it. Because they don't know. If they can say 100% no, he does not need an AAC device, okay, fine. But if they can't say that with good conscience, that he could possibly benefit, then they need to do that evaluation. But you can PM me. So Tess and Jennifer and Leah and Viviana and is it Yemima Puebla? Did I say that right? What they are doing now, and he is a January IEP. Yeah. Does that mean first IEP possibly as young as 3? Yes, ma'am. When I said 2007, Cynthia, that was when Sky was 2. David Antio, no any dates written at all since 2016. It is written no changes found for. Wow. Was our March 2nd, 2020 was our first IEP among the beginning of COVID. Next triennial was 2023. That's correct. Is it possible that your child may no longer qualify if you retest, especially if your child has a mild, moderate disability? Sure, that's always an option. But if they haven't said anything as of yet, that is very easily arguable. So I wouldn't sweat that too much, but you're welcome to PM me and we can talk more. Elba, my son's triennial would have been 9/20/20, but that's this month, but was pushed to an early date 5/20/20 because he was going to enter kindergarten, postponed with scheduled date. Testing was to start after spring break. Testing would have happened end of March through April, May. But due to pandemic, nothing. They are just saying with his needs based on last IEP. So they're saying, oh, we're not going to do the triennial. We're just going to go on what we already have. Is that what you're saying, Elba? Carrie says, yep. So says 1/18/2021. They're calling for triennial Wednesday. Never been assessed since original. And when was his original, Carrie? Newbie here. What's your opinion of dealing with the state of Washington? Well, I just filed a huge complaint there with a client. Why do you say not to give them copies of kiddo's diagnosis? Oh, how'd you know? How'd you know that, Leah? The reason I say not to give them a copy of your child's diagnosis is because your medical information is not their business, and your child's medical information is not their business. And the thing is, you know, their diagnosis that's going to impact their education is, meaning, you know, if their diagnosis is, say, diabetes, all right, and they have to have insulin in school, obviously they need to know that, all right? Or if they have epilepsy, and that is going to affect them in learning, that's going to affect them in the educational setting, that's going to, you know what I mean? And they need to know, the nurse needs to know what's going on with that. And so do the teachers. All right. They need to know what to do. They need to know what measures they need to take, all that kind of stuff. But if your child has autism or ADHD and even with epilepsy or diabetes or any of those things, they still are not privy, and it's really none of their business, the other information there. Think about it. In evaluations, when you get your child evaluated or, they're diagnosed for the first time, when you go to the doctor, what happens? They give the parents a freaking book to fill out, right? Of how many pregnancies have you had? What is your, what different things has your mom had and your grandmother and your grandfather and all these different questions. All the way back to when we were kids and we don't even freaking remember, right? So it's none of their business. None. All they need to know, okay, so you take your evaluation, all right, put that aside. That's yours. Then you have the doctor, whoever diagnosed them, hopefully it was a developmental pediatrician, neurologist, etc., psychologist in some areas. And basically, you want to have them put on a script, a medication script that you take to like CVS or Walgreens or whatever, and you say autism, child diagnosed with autism, child diagnosed with ADHD, child diagnosed with blah, blah, blah. All right. Or it can say autism and dyslexia diagnosis. Child also has epileptic seizures requiring such and such medication. That's it. That's all they need. You do not need to give your medical information, theirs, yours, at all, to the school. Ever. It's not their business. They just need the diagnosis, and if there's a medical issue, child was diagnosed with autism on such and such date, child was diagnosed with ADHD on such and such date, child had brain injury on such and such date, child has epileptic seizures, is on such and such medication, needs to be monitored, and needs to stay away from blah, blah, blah. Child is allergic to peanut butter, whatever it is, all right? But that can be put on a script. That's it. All right? All right. So Marlene, hello. Leanna, hello. Hey, Jenna, how are you? Does the triennial get pushed off if an assessment has been done before the 3-year mark? No, it does not. It does not. All right? Last year, my youngest had that in his regular ed teacher and EC teacher. We worked together to figure it out, and it worked for a little while, and then we would get together again. And that's amazing. I love when teachers want to work with parents and, do things for the kids in regards to if something's not working, because our kids are sometimes a puzzle and we got to figure it out. It's not just like IEPs are never a one and done. Like you go to an IEP, you request an evaluation, and then what happens? You got to go back to another IEP after the evaluation. It's never a one and done. But after the first IEP, after the reevaluation, and you go to the reevaluation meeting, it is pretty much done. And unless you're having to fight over something, crazy or whatever, it is pretty much done. So why not get it on track? Why not get it in the place it needs to be? Why not get the verbiage where it needs to be? Even if it's a back and forth, once it's great, it's great. And then you compare page by page from here forward. And so it's important to get the IEP on point. All right. Last year, my youngest had, okay, yeah. Thanks, guys. Hi, Tracy. Angie says she wished she found this 3 years ago. Well, you found it now, so welcome. Jenna says, yes, it helps bridge the gap between the school and the parents and gives almost a sense of closure, acceptance. Yes, absolutely. Debbie says, how does this apply to distance learning? Can you explain that? If Debbie, you're on here still, what do you mean? How does what apply to distance learning? Because just because we're in distance learning, nothing changed. So can you specify exactly what you mean by that? How can they give data work samples to show progress when they're doing distance learning? Well, you should have some data as well, but the school has to. They have to. So somehow they need to be getting information to where they can collect data. All right? So they have to be monitoring something somewhere somehow, because it's not all put on the parent. Now, obviously some is, but not all, okay? So you have to kind of compromise in that sense, you know, like you can't put it all on them because they're not physically there. But it is part their responsibility because they still have to provide FAPE. They're still the educators. They're doing distance learning. That doesn't mean mom teaches. That means teacher teaches. So, and you know, the issue too is the fact that many of our kids don't learn that way, and that's why FAPE isn't being provided. And parents are winning across the board with this because it's not being provided. I have to ask, as it was supposed to have been done in 2018, but I didn't get anything about it. Yes, I'd rather a teacher tell the truth because yeah, it shows character, and it shows, you know, that they want the child to progress and that they care. Yeah, 100%. There was a client that I was working with. I have so many that, let me just tell you the situation. One of the teachers were told not to say anything to the parent when the teacher was working with the parent. The teacher was amazing and working with the parent. The teacher was told by administration she was asked, why would you ever offer to give the parent and show the parent your certification? Oh yeah. Why would you ever offer to show the parent your certification? And this was in reading or something like that, for reading, which a parent has every right to ask for a teacher's certification in any certain area. Their license you can look up on the DOE website. As far as any type of certification in, say, Orton Gillingham or Wilson or whatever it may be, all right, a parent has every right to see it. Do you have to go and hand them a copy and deliver it to their door? Nope. But you do have to show them, and you do have to let them know, and they have every right to that information. So just F411 for teachers, you do have to give that out. Do you have to answer if you're married, or how many kids you have, or, you know, what you did the night before, or what's your favorite movie? No. But do you have to tell the parent what your certifications are beyond having a license and teaching? You sure as heck do. And more parents are asking. So just get really comfortable answering and getting them whatever it is that they need. Because even if administration tells you otherwise, if the parent's smart enough, which many parents are getting smarter in this area. I mean, I was a big dummy in this area for the longest time, but I got smart. And guess what? I went all the way up. And that teacher sure as heck had to give that information when they could have just done it from the get-go. So just get real comfortable giving that information and just let it go. All right? It doesn't mean they don't trust you. It's just they want that security and that comfort of having made sure. So when parents question teachers or question somebody in the school system, it's not an automatic "we don't trust you." It's our kid we're talking about. So we just need to have that justification and that comfort in our hearts to say, okay, I did everything I needed to do to make sure that was taken care of. I mean, it's like asking a mom to go pick a daycare provider and never interviewing them, you know? So that's all it is. Look at it as an interview. Because I'll just be honest, okay? Because just because someone's a teacher does not make them perfect. I mean, we got teachers who's had sex with other kids. We've got teachers who've done all kinds of things. So teachers should not be surprised if a parent asks for their Orton Gillingham, you know, certification or their ABA training or whatever the case may be. Don't be offended by that. Get over yourself and open up to the parent and create that trust. That's what's important. Not there's some sort of privacy right, because there's not. If you're teaching someone else's kid, there's no privacy right there other than your personal life. So if it involves that kid and you in the classroom, you got to be an open book. You got to let it go and be open to giving out that information and being okay with that. You know, and if you don't have it, say that. No big deal, you know? But that doesn't mean that parent's not going to fight for someone certified in Orton Gillingham. That doesn't mean that parent's not going to fight for someone who is an RBT, BCBA, BCABA to do ABA therapy with their child, because that 7-day training that school systems think sufficient is a joke. I mean, you can actually harm a child providing ABA in an incorrect way. So how dare school systems actually give somebody training for 7 days and think that's efficient and gonna be proficient, and even a child progress from that. 7 days of training of ABA. I just did this, guys. Someone saying to me at administration, oh, they've had 7 days of training, because I asked, what is the training that, because we asked for an ABA provider for this child, and the school system said, oh, well, you know, our school teachers have been given the 7-day training. I almost flipped. I think I did flip shit, y'all. I'm just going to be quite honest here. When they told me that, I looked at the administrator and I said, shame on you. I said, I cannot believe that you just told me that. Because a child who needs ABA therapy, whether that be academic or behavioral, and you're going to just tell me that that person has had 7 days of training? Come again? Please come again. Say that one more time. Please tell me that I didn't hear that correctly. Because if somebody is delivering ABA therapy in the wrong way, it can literally mess up a child. Completely mess them up. So, parents, this is a big, huge red flag. Find out what and who, what training and who is delivering ABA therapy to your child. Because if it's 7 days of training or some other bullshit like that, you need to get your child out of that therapy. Okay? Because if it is delivered wrong, and I am no BCBA, I took one of the 2 years and then quit. So I know something, and my child's been in it for 14 years. But I'll tell you this. You do not want ABA therapy being delivered in the wrong way. And that's why ABA therapy has a bad rap. And it's not bad. Back in the day when I was a kid, yeah, it was done all jack the hell up, all right? But it's not anymore. It's actually very effective. Not for every child. It is not for every child. But for the ones that it does work for, it's amazing. But if delivered wrong, it can really screw a child up. So don't ever allow that. You fight. Because you will win. I promise you, you will win. Because 7 days is not a qualified individual to give ABA therapy to your child. Period. All right? Another thing that you need to pay attention to that I am figuring out, okay, is children with dyslexia, dyspraxia, apraxia, etc.
Mom, can you wash my face?
Yes. Give me a second.
How is that?
5 more minutes. Is, okay, reading. I'm struggling. All right, here you go. Here's some transparency. I'm struggling with figuring out, because there is an issue. I'm just trying to figure out how to go about it. And it's with reading, and the school system saying, because I've had this therapy or the training, the 30-hour training with Orton Gillingham. I loved this training. It was great. But do I feel like I could go teach a child with dyslexia, dyspraxia, or apraxia, or any other learning disability in reading? No way. So I'm trying to process and figure out how they think that is okay. Because these are reading issues where 30%, 30, I can't even hold my hand up, 30. That's how many kids today can read. 30%. That is a bad number. And could that go back to the children are not being taught how they're being taught is not appropriate? I think so. Now to have a solution to that. And it's a big deal. And I'm almost there. I'm a researcher. So I'm going to come up with it. And it's something I will go to due process for every child that comes my way with this issue. Because there's so much research and so much in depth that goes into depth with this. And as an educator, it's a big deal. And how school systems are training their teachers with this 1 week, 30 hours bullshit is not okay. And we got to figure it out. And as parents, we need to come together and figure it out. And it not be okay. Don't settle. Never settle. Okay? You can compromise, but never settle for your child. Okay? So, that's enough for today. All right? I've given you an hour and 6 minutes when today was tip of the week. But that's okay. Thank you. I got them done today. Do you guys like them? I love them. I like sparkly, but so I love them. It's like a periwinkle color. I love it. Thank you, Michelle. Some kids are being penalized because they can't get on Zoom. Yeah, I know. I know, Debbie. Well, that's why I've gotten to the point, Debbie, where I ask for the C-Top 2, the Clef 5, and any other freaking reading assessment that has to be done. And I will fight for it because they have no way to prove. If you call Wyatt, Whisk, and any of those freaking all-around tests that don't do anything other than, little parts of little areas, all right? They barely do math. They barely do reading. They come up with some IQ and, they're able to come up with this 2 or 3 page, maybe 4 page psychological report. That's not enough. That is not a full evaluation of that child. You want a full evaluation? Give me a call. I'll tell you what a full evaluation is. All right? Because especially if that child's having trouble in reading, you better do every damn reading test you have to figure out what's going on. Because if a child can't read, they're going to progress nowhere in the educational system. And it's gotten me so worked up. And I will figure it out. I'm a Leo, guys. I'm going to figure that shit out. But yeah, no, seriously, we need to come together and figure this out because it's not okay. And the amount of training that school systems give their educators today is just not okay. And that is not the teacher's fault. Because I don't personally think it's the teacher's job to pay for their extra certifications and learning and all those things. I don't think that teachers should have to do that. I mean, no, they shouldn't at all. So, teachers need to, be able to just teach and focus on that. Never should they have to pay for their ongoing training. The school system, the school district, and all of them need to pay for that and make it easy for them to access, for them to do it maybe even online where they can collaborate with other individuals, like on a Zoom or whatever, where it's convenient for them so they don't have to go somewhere and ruin their summer or whatever. If school systems would just come together and provide real training, that would be amazing. And I don't see teachers saying, nope, I don't want to become a certified Orton Gillingham specialist. Even if it's going to school, for 1 year to get a certification free of charge, doing it online, possibly at their own time. I'm not sure how that 1 year goes. I want to say it's a curriculum, but it's not, too heavy, especially, you know, if you're working as a teacher, because I know you put in time in doing this certification with teaching. So I don't see many teachers saying no to a free training that could really, really benefit a child. I just don't. And I think that, you know, if school systems would just provide it to them and pay for it, that they'd have a lot less due process, which is teaching the teachers is a lot cheaper than going to due process with parents. Kind of, you would think that that would make sense, but you know. Oftentimes it seems like the State Department tells the schools all they need to do. Yeah. Complaints, literally, they get a smack on the hand. No, don't do that. Let's do things better. Make sure you send everything to us so that we can monitor you and babysit you for a little bit. That's exactly what happens. Well, Amanda, that's a big problem. I can help you. Which leads me back to, I'm booking up for October. So I have a couple spots left. So PM me if you're interested in the IEP package. I know a lot of you have been asking me, can I go to your IEP meeting? You know, I have parents like amazing Cynthia and some other parents who are spreading the word, you know, about emails and, you know, the emails that I write and getting things going and all the things that you need. So I greatly appreciate that. I really do. And so if you need help, I have a couple spots left for October. So message me and we will get things on track for your child and we will talk and I'll learn more about your case and we'll go from there. Okay? So I will talk to you guys soon. Make sure you join the group. Go into search Autism Mama Rocks IEP group. Tomorrow we'll be doing a live Q&A. That's done pretty much every Tuesday. And I will also be doing some giveaways. Okay? They don't even want to pay us decent wages. Yeah, you shouldn't have to pay for it, Lori. You shouldn't have to. And, you know, I think it's disgusting that the school system will pay for sports and everything else, but they won't pay to train their own teachers in areas of such as reading, you know, or, you know, getting them more extensive training because it's required more, you know, kind of like ongoing training, you know. Yeah. So. All right, guys, have a good night. I will talk to you soon, and hopefully I see you tomorrow over on the group, in the group, so that we can have a live Q&A. I know, you know, Mondays and Thursdays when I go live here, you know, it's a lot of information. So Tuesdays I like to just chill out, and I just do a live Q&A for about an hour and a half, and it's pretty chill. So it's a lot of fun. So I hope to see you over there tomorrow. Take care. Have a good night.